Hello friends, my name is Yamini and I welcome you back to my astrology channel, The Saffron Box. Today we are going to understand the sign of Pisces as the ascendant or the rising sign. Right? In my earlier videos, I have explained what happens when a particular sign becomes your ascendant or your rising sign. And I've also explained what an ascendant is. So just to give you a brief recap, ascendant or rising sign or lagna is the sign which was rising in the east at the time of your birth. Right? So I'm not referring to the sun sign here at all. I am referring to the Vedic system of astrology, and I am talking about the sign rising in the east. On the it depends also on the date, time, and place of your birth. So these three things actually are studied, calculations are made, and that is when the ascendant is decided. And why do we study the ascendant? Because the ascendant actually decides the entire life course for you. So it decides what kind of family you'll be born in, what kind of physical appearance you'll have, what kind of a marriage you'll be in, what kind of children, what kind of colleagues, friends, relatives you'll be dealing with, what kind of a profession you'll get into, what will be your losses, what will be your gains, how will you deal with opposition, how will you deal with enemies, how will you deal with your diseases, what kind of a home you'll have, what kind of a communication you'll have with the outer world, and so many other things, right? So that is why we study the ascendant, and it's of prime importance, without which we cannot study more, right? So we'll understand the sign of Pisces. Now Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac, right? And it is ruled by the planet Jupiter. It's a watery sign and a feminine sign. So people born under this ascendant are basically very kind, very sympathetic, and very emotional. They're also very intuitive, depending again on the placement of Jupiter. They're very intuitive, they're very receptive. And if you see, this sign also talks about infinity, the vast ocean, the vast sky, which has no end. Right? So these people have a very good imagination, and they're very creative at that. So they make good poets, they make good philosophers, and they are good in things which require a lot of creativity. And sometimes these people are also given to a lot of daydreaming, right? So and they sort of like some amount of isolation, though they are very good in social circles, etc., but they prefer some amount of they like to be introvert most of the times. So they're very choosy, whom are they going to be with, right? Now coming to their family life or speech, they are usually born in families which are very active, so there's a lot of activity going around, and the parents are energetic, active people. The father is usually authoritative, and the father does not let them sit, so there's a lot of pushing from the parents to be involved in a lot of activities apart from studies. There could be physical activities, there could be games, etc. So the parents are always pushing them, and putting in a lot of energy with them towards their development, towards their growth. Also, these people, though they are very soft by nature and emotional by nature, etc., because the sign of Aries is falling in the second house of speech, which is again ruled by Mars, what happens is these people speak with a lot of authority. And if Mars is well placed, they speak nicely, they can motivate a lot of people with their speech. But if Mars is not placed well in the chart, the speech could be rude, it could be blunt, and it could be hurting to others. So this is something which these people born under the Pisces ascendant actually need to work on. Yeah. Now coming to their family lives, what happens is the sign of Gemini is falling in the 4th house, which is ruled by Mercury. And this sign shows a lot of communication, lot of chit chat, lot of gossip, lot of banter keeps happening in the house. So what happens, and also Mercury is ruling the 7th house of spouse, of marriage also. So usually these people after marriage become very communicative with their spouse, with their children, with the immediate family. So they may not be having so many friends outside, too many friends outside, but when it comes to their home, when it comes to their family, close family, they are very communicative. And with their spouse also, they like to share a lot, share all things with their spouse. Yeah. Now coming to their children, this is an area where these people are very emotional. They are very protective and emotional about their children. So what happens is the children are also, they are very motherly towards their children. So whether it's a man born under the Pisces sign also, he'll have those motherly qualities towards his children, right? And also talking about their creativity and imagination, since moon is ruling the 5th house, these people can do well in writing. So they can write well, they can make good novelists, they can make good philosophers, because the 5th house is ruled by moon. And this again is a sign where a lot of imagination and a lot of mental activity can be seen, right? Now coming to their 6th house, the sign of Leo falls in the 6th house, which is again ruled by the sun. What happens is, this also shows a probability of these people inheriting diseases from the paternal side, from the father's side. Okay, so and also there could be chances that the father leaves behind some debts or some loans for these people to resolve, to do away with. And sometimes, depending on the placement of sun in the chart, in the horoscope, it could happen that they do not share very good relationship with their father, right? So I'm talking very generally here. It depends on each and every individual chart also, right? Now the 7th house of spouse, of marriage and partnership. Usually what happens now, these people are daydreamers, they are imaginative, they are very emotional. The spouse is someone who's practical, who's meticulous, who knows how to bring the money in, who knows how to handle finances, right? So the spouse is usually a very earthy and a grounded person, and tells them how to actually carry on with life practically, how to pay the bills, how to invest, how to talk about gains, how to deal with people practically, right? Now the 8th house again has rulership of Venus, right? So what happens is, these people born in the Pisces ascendant are usually very cordial and very balanced with their in-laws, with their spouse's family. And when it comes to their joint assets also, they know very well how to balance their joint assets. Okay. Now the sign of Scorpio rules the 9th house. So these people are usually very stubborn and usually very rigid when it comes to their spiritual beliefs, when it comes to their higher beliefs in life. So they are not given to change very easily. I mean, if they believe in something, they believe in it. They can become very stubborn about it also. Okay. And it also shows that the father could be someone who's very ambitious, who's very determined, and it could be that the father is in some sort of research, is in police, is in military, etc. Okay. Now coming to the 10th house of profession, the ascendant lord Jupiter also rules the 10th house. So these people do very well in careers related to teaching, to philosophy. They can make good priests, because Jupiter is ruling the ascendant also and the 10th house also. So, and if the Jupiter is very well placed, they can do very well in again teaching, philosophy, law, and then higher education, religious studies, etc. Right? Coming to their 11th house. The 11th house is ruled by the planet Saturn, right? And the sign of Capricorn is falling there in the 11th house, which is a very practical and a very earthy sign again. So these people are very, very choosy about whom they mingle with in the social circle. They do not have a very, wide social circle. They have few friends, but good ones. And these people do not fritter away too much of energy in, engaging socially, right? And since the sign of Saturn is there, there's always, some amount of restriction there. So they might be wanting to move around, they might be wanting to have a bigger social circle, but since Saturn is ruling that house of social circle, there is some sort of a restriction there, because wherever Saturn rules a particular house, it limits some of the significations. Okay. And coming to the 12th house, again sign of Aquarius falls in the 12th. Okay. And Aquarius, again, as I mentioned earlier in my earlier videos also, Aquarius is a sign which is into future thinking, okay, which is into innovation. So these people invest a lot of their time in thinking about the future, worrying about the future. And if Saturn is well placed, they do well in areas related to research, where they can spend a lot of energy there. They do well in group projects, projects related to humanitarian work, etc. Right. So that pretty much sums up the Piscean personality. And I'll come back. I'm starting a new series of various houses. So we're going to study what each and every house in the horoscope means, right? So that's going to be my next series. And till then, do watch the videos, and in case you have any query or you want to leave a comment, do so. And see you again. Thank you.